Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to veterinarians from different regions in the world. You are welcome to Sri Lanka Veterinary Association second international webinar series. We have organized 16 webinars at this second SLVA international webinar series. Our resource persons are well-reputed veterinarian. This is our 8th webinar. Today's topic is veterinary intervention on distress and nuisance wildlife. Our resource person is well-reputed veterinarian around the world, Dr. Vijitha Perera from Department of Wildlife Conservation in Sri Lanka. And our moderator is Dr. Peradeniya from National Zoological Garden. We are proud to have high caliber veterinarian in this webinar series. Without wasting much time, I would like to invite Dr. Susanta Mallavarachchi, the President of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association, to welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sugat. Very good afternoon and very good morning and very good evening to all the participants from different countries in the different regions. And warmly welcome everyone to this webinar series. As our former Secretary Dr. Sugat mentioned, this is the 7th international session, seminar session. Today, our resource person is Dr. Vijitha Perera. He is a renowned wildlife veterinarian, and we are proud to say that he was one of the award winner as the Animal Welfare Award out of all the world veterinarian. And actually, he is among all from the world. He was fortunate to win one of the World Veterinary Award for the animal welfare. And also, you can visit to Veterinary Association of Zoo Veterinarians, American Veterinary Association of Zoo Veterinarians website also. It has a special article on Dr. Vijitha Perera. And we are proud as a Sri Lanka Veterinary Association and also as a president of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association. I congratulate Dr. Vijitha for that great honor on behalf of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association gain and also for Sri Lanka name you kept in the world as a welfare award winner. And really, I know that Sri Lanka veterinarians, especially working for zoo and wildlife, are very silent workers, and also their commitment and the dedication is highly appreciated, because I know how much it is difficult for them to handle all these wild animals because they are not tamed animals. And also during difficult time, they work around the clock. At any time, they have to attend to emergency cases. And I know, but most of them, the Sri Lankan and also world general public, they don't know those commitment and the work they do. And I really appreciate their work always as a president of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association. And also the objective of this session is to give the awareness to the veterinary surgeons who are in other sectors like poultry, dairy, government, and practicing veterinarians about wildlife veterinary surgeons' commitment and the service they tender to Sri Lanka wildlife animals. And really appreciate our Peradeniya, because he is one of the famous veterinary surgeon as an animal lover. I know how much under pressure he worked there at the Ridhikama farm, and we are very happy now he is having a smiling face today. And I really appreciate Dr. Prasad for your commitment and the time for being a moderator today. And on behalf of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association, again, I welcome all the veterinary surgeons, the members of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association to this session. And to continue the session, I hand over this forum or the meeting or webinar to Dr. Prasad to introduce our Dr. Vijitha Perera. Dr. Prasad, it is now your time.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all the participants from all over the world. And today I'm going to brief about our resource person. Everyone knows about Dr. Vijitha Perera. He's actually a benchmark for the all young wildlife veterinarian in Sri Lanka. He's graduated from University of Peradeniya Veterinary Faculty, and he has taken the master's degree from science faculty, and then he has completed a master's in animal health in London, Royal Veterinary College. Then he has received training from Daral Wildlife Conservation Academy, United Kingdom, and the African Wildlife College, Tanzania. Currently, he's reading his PhD on stress of wild elephant calves at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Sciences, University of Peradeniya. And Dr. Vijitha is an award-winning writer, and he has published several books on wildlife. He has been working for more than 24 years for wildlife conservation, and currently he's the officer in charge of elephant transit hormone development, and he's also the head wildlife veterinarian for the Southern Province. And I cordially invite you, sir, to do your presentation, and I hope everyone enjoy this presentation ahead. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and good morning and good evening, as you said, to all the communities in the all around the world. And thank you very much, Dr. P.S.R., for giving me introduction. And I'm very grateful to SLVA President Dr. Shantar and former Secretary Suga. So I think in my presentation, so now I'm going to share my screen. So Vijitha, is it working? Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So I have seen my teachers also there in the audience. And okay. So I will start and I will just try to give some understanding about the nuisance and how we can handle the distress and nuisance wildlife in the country. So I focus most of the things in the local setting, but this may helpful for the overseas also. So I try my best to convince something that is helpful for the field veterinarians, those who are encountering this kind of problem in their day-to-day life. And it is not uncommon in Sri Lanka when you're dealing with the companion animals or livestock or some other sectors. But as a vet, you may encounter the wildlife things, and people are coming to you and they are asking them questions and they are bringing their wild animals out there. But when they found the animals from some areas and when they want to help them, so as a vets, how can we deal with this kind of circumstances are the things I focus on in this my presentation. So as initiation, I just want to show you that what the public think about the wildlife, not wildlife, but just a veterinary surgeon. So we know that basically we are dealing with many animals, livestock and poultry sector and the same companion animals. And even we are saying that we are working with many animals. When we compare with the human, we say that they are only one species, but we are in that group of animals, and so our subject is very broad. So in that case, we do the treatment, management, and other works are and conservation, husband breeding, preventive medicines, and vaccine, parasitic control, and like that. So pets are everywhere. So people also, the public also think we have that confident working with kind of issues when there are animals around there. So they feel that vets are the people who knows about the animals among the other out in the world. So in the case of wildlife, again, people are, wildlife we call it is undomesticated animal species. So in historically, we know that we have been with the wildlife in the nature, but time being we are separated. So it is when they get more civilized, so we separate from the wildlife. So we want to keep them apart from us. And it is legally and socially and moral. So that way we separate from them. But now the things are, the attitude and thinking patterns are changing. So now people think that we need animals and we have to care about them and they don't like exploit them. They think that they have right to live. So if you go to the Western countries in the earlier, they feel that all the nature is for they can use freely and exploit them free manner. But now they feel that they are alone and without the nature they can't have a happy life. So as a trend in the world, most people are very concerned about the wildlife, want to help them and like that. But in the eastern countries like Sri Lanka, India, like that was their culture. They always respect the wildlife, and still it is ongoing process. And as if I say about what the distress animals wildlife, we know all the time the distress animals are just animals that look like sick, injured, or open animals. And nuisance animals are very prominent in country now. So they making problem to the agriculture and even to the properties and threat to the human safety and animals who are diseased and the sick animals who are behaving abnormally and even people not happy to see the sick animals are there surrounding and they want to help them. And some animals are living. There are people think that they should not live in that areas like that way. So therefore, all these problems are everywhere: nuisance animals and distress animals, and so as a vet, and we are getting these kind of animals, distress animals and nuisance wildlife in our day-to-day life. And just to show that the cultural things in between ourselves and other countries, I just take this example. Is from RSPCA, Royal Society for Prevention of Cruelty on Animals. It is some kind of NGO in dealing with the UK. So they say that you can see that we compare with Sri Lankan situation and their situations. They say that only in England and Wales, in the two part of the UK, they have around 700 establishments to help this wildlife. And they said that they are getting around 500,000 animals to that place, and so wildlife. So that way I think compared to Sri Lanka in their system now, there are many centers they can help with the wildlife. But in Sri Lanka situation, you know that we are still developing and we are still improving. And if we go to the wildlife sector, there was in 1995 like that, we had only one veterinarian and then it gradually increased and now it's going up to 21. So centers wise, we have 10 centers in the all around the country. And if we see these numbers, 500,000 is a very big number. But in Sri Lanka, I think we do only about 2,000 to 300 in between like that for the year round. So, so the people in these countries, in the Western countries now, they know that there are some areas and they have very known about this incident. There are some helpful contacts, they would think, no. But in Sri Lanka, only wildlife is centers are famous for the help into the wildlife. And but however, the many wildlife clinics and government veterinary surgeons office, they also handling the cases, but not most time they try to send it to the wildlife. But some people they happily do so. Some people not happy to work on with wildlife when they get into their clinics. So this is something common in the country. So it is take to our faculty in Peradeniya and other wildlife centers, the wildlife clinics, and even some private clinics and the government veterinary surgeons office. And so when the people bring that, public bring that animals, the vet always in hesitation what we can do. So the faculty and others, some people are very confident and they can do that kind of handling, but many places, because the private clinics like companion animal practices and even other government veterinary surgeons office, they face a lot of problems because they don't have much knowledge about what to do. Not treatment, they know how to do treatment, but the other things they have no idea. So I will try to at that point and tell you what the background information that helpful you to deal with the wildlife casualties. So one thing we have to know about when we are talking about the wildlife in the country, there are wildlife. Other than the wildlife, some things we know that it looks like wildlife, but in the definition they are not. They are not native wildlife. That's the two words going on: native species and invasive species. These are common things for both flora and fauna both. So if you take in the country, there are a lot of invasive species are there. They are coming accidentally, sometimes intentionally. So they are coming and they are propagating, covering all the area. And as their definition, you can see when these invasive species are coming on, they are free from the predators. And therefore, in the new environment, they get a lot of advantage for fight with the native species, and they are spread globally. So trees are making a lot of trouble in the country, but same price nowadays, animals also making the trouble. So I have put some example: rainbow trout, clown knifefish, like that things. Even the red-eared tortoise now, they are making trouble now. So you might see many invasive species were now spreading in the country. So when you are dealing with that kind of species, also you should know these are something not native and they are invasive species. And same price you can, I think our vets are practicing on exotic pets. So these another things we should know. They are not belong to the country. When you're working with things, when the people ask advice, you have to always tell them that they should not introduce to the nature like that thing. So that knowledge we should have, and we have to convince our clients about these things. And other things, when we are dealing with wildlife, we should know about fauna about Sri Lanka and the legislation about wildlife and the way we can identify the wildlife species and the conservation priorities in wildlife and helpful contacts. So these are very basic requirements we should keep in our background knowledge dealing with the wildlife casualties. Same times we should have the thorough knowledge about assessing the situation, the potential hazards, the animal and with itself, and how to handle the animals, and to have distinguish the normal and abnormal behaviors and the nutritional requirement of this species. Because when the animal come to you, we should, as a vet, we should know these basic things, not basic, actually vital things to handle the animal. Otherwise, we are in trouble. Both animals get helpless and we also get helpless if we do work without having this knowledge. So I just want to show about the fauna in our country. So and other things, because when the general public working in wildlife, the veterinarians sometimes they may have some the knowledge on the animals and other kind of things, sometimes controversial, because they feel because some people are criticize some comments from veterinary surgeons when they bring the animal there, like that things, when they're talking with them, especially wildlife officers, when they work with the vets, and then they come and say that sometimes they criticize our veterinarians because some comments they are giving without knowing the background situation. So the basic things we should know, because in Sri Lanka, if we get the animal species, we always say that the country is very rich in biodiversity and species richness and everything. But if you go to and compare with the world situation, it is not so. And we have to accept that thing, because we think that our country is the best country and everything is there. But it is, we say that things because other reason, not the number of species. Like you can compare with the situation if we see the mammalian species in the world, it is almost around 5,000. In our country, we are only about 135. And even birds, there are around almost 10,000 bird species in the world, and we have 515. And even if you go to reptiles, we have 243 in the world, 700, almost 8,000. So like that way, the world has a lot of species and other things. Because we should know that our country is very low. But if you find the islands in the world, our country is very special islands, because our island, this number of species are very unique to that our kind of island. And as even the unit, within the unit area, the number of species are highest. Sri Lanka is one of the highest countries with the number of species richness. That way it comes to the forward, not the number of species and like that. So that way it comes with the, if you take the unit area, Sri Lanka is the one of island, it has the highest density of species. So that things we should keep in our mind. And the other thing we know, it is biodiversity rich country, biodiversity hotspot. So it become biodiversity hotspot because of this richness as island, and same time threats it is experiencing. And if you find the number of the human population in the country is very large. So all these factors, the threatens, the things advantage for the richness and the things negative impact. Also they are with the threat and everything, and this richness of the species in the unit area is the major index. It become a world biodiversity hotspot. And even from get the one, I just want to show the things when you take reptiles. So the endemicities you can see from this picture. If you go to the snakes, from 102 species, 49 of them are endemic to the country. So if you go to the skinks, from 29, 2 of them are endemic to Sri Lanka. Even geckos, from 42 species, 35 of them are endemic to the Sri Lanka. So like that way, the Sri Lanka is one of the unique country, unique island. The endemicity and number of species in unique area. The things as a vet, we should know the about the conservation. In the world now, they have developed a common criteria to assess the threatened level of the animals. So those who are the threat to the extinction, like that. That way they have categories are there in extinct, the wild, critically endangered, vulnerable, near threatened, least concerned, data deficient, like that. So this kind of threatened status, we should have background knowledge. When we are dealing with the animals, we should know that this is whether this is critically endangered animal, vulnerable animal, or something least concerned animal, like that way. Because the client who are coming, the general public, when you are coming to you and they are talking, most of people know these facts and they are talking about these words and everything. When we are going to the wildlife department, when the people are talking about the in situ conservation, ex situ conservation, threatened species, and like that, we know what we face a difficulty, because it looks like something magic, but it has nothing there. Only thing, we should know the word and we should know the general meaning, what it is, what does it mean. Otherwise, when the words are very unfamiliar, then we feel there is something very critical and something very serious. But it is not so. Therefore, it is very good to know about these general words and their meaning. And it is very good to, if we know that about our national red list in Sri Lanka. So these are available in the web, and if we have a copy of these things, we can refer them very easily. And now the last national red list is 2012, and nowadays it is updating. And the pieces are now in the online, and others are coming in the way. So this kind of things we can use for get the old information. Even the red list, you can, if you find any species, you can go to the website and you can put the name of that animal, and you can get all the information. So then you compare it. Otherwise, people come with that knowledge and they check your knowledge. Then we get into trouble. So that's now some trend in the world. So therefore, we should prepare for that kind of things. And other important thing is our legislation in the country. So in Sri Lanka, in the conservation of wildlife, the fauna and flora protection ordinance is that's a legal framework, and it was coming from 1937. In the colonial time, it was declared, and now it is amended several times. In the last amendment done in 2009, and that's a act we should have general knowledge. Even this one also you can download from the web, and you can read it. So this is the act we should follow when we are conserving the wildlife, working with the wildlife. And as a way, these are the things very important in the fauna and flora protection ordinance. In the fauna and flora protection ordinance, there are some schedules. And in that schedules, they are listed. Some animals in the country are not protected. So they are especially mentioned that that animals, just to say that all other animals are protected. So they only inform that this is the animals, they are not protected. So all other animals are protected legally protected in the country. So even the unknown animals, unknown species, all are covered under these definitions. So therefore, in the country, we are not we consider the macaque and grey langur, wild boar, black-necked hare, and porcupines are non-protected animal species. So the non-protected animal species are only non-protected when they are outside the protected areas. That means in the private gardens, in human settlements, they are not protected. So in that manner, some people can even they can kill that animal. They are coming to their houses and home garden and making trouble to their day-to-day life and agriculture. But when the people go, though they can do it, there are a lot of restrictions to do it according to these things. But we should have knowledge that these animals are not protected. So all other animals, all other mammals has protection. So nobody can any harm to the animals, whether they are in the protected area, that means national park or sanctuaries, or outside the protected areas. They all are protected animals. So if they come to you, they are protected animals. These animals also, those they mentioned that not protected, it doesn't mean that we can do whatever we want. Again, there are some coverage come to these animals. Even Animal Cruelty Act and like that act also working on that. Even when you are, though we say that it can hunt in your property, but when you are doing the hunt, there are a lot of guidelines you have to follow. The animal should be away from the water resources, and like that way, there are a lot of laws. Therefore, it is very something. Some way it is complicated, but when you read the things, you see that not that much. Other than these 5 mammals, there are the 3 fatty species also there as mammals. Things are the reptiles. In the reptiles, all the reptiles are protected other than the 5 species. So those 5 species are venomous species. You can see cobra, common krait, and Sri Lankan krait, Russell's viper, and soil-scaled viper. So that's 5 species are considered as non-protected. All other reptiles are protected. So I think I just wanted to show you some one of the lecture on this peptides, and I have put it there. And when you go through it, you can get very nice and very comprehensive knowledge about the peptides, because these are one of the things our vets, most vets are not confident, and they feel something very reptiles are something disgusting, and even they don't like. But if you get to know the correct knowledge, and then you know it, they are very not that kind of space. So I invite you to go through these YouTube presentations, Mr. Vijitha. So that's why I would like to recommend. You can get very nice, good knowledge about the reptile. And there are even the amphibians, birds also there. If you take the birds, again, 5 species of birds are non-protected, unprotected. Other all are protected. So the 5 species are black crow, that house crow, spotted munia, white-backed munia, and rose-winged parakeet. All other species are protected. So I just wanted to show this because if you are confident as a vet, you can keep your because we have to always work with the sometimes school kids and even with the public. So they are very happy to get this knowledge from you, because they expect this kind of things from you. You can just tell them, and that you can make them aware. It's very good for the conservation, and many people hasn't any idea about these kind of things. So as a vet, if we know these things, we can make them aware. And I just put there are even the other thing is some animals are protected in country. So there are some mammals and some birds, some reptiles. So like that way they are mentioning. I'm going to read all these names and other things, but I think our organizers may give you the PDF of this one. Then you can prepare leisurely and work on them when these animals come to your clinic or get your service. And other things as a vets, we should have ability to identify the species. So this is not easy, but when you get familiarized with the species, you may find that how easy it and how enjoyable in that manner, especially in bird watching and that kind of things. The only thing is you should have the interest. So you have to develop the interest, and then you can gather the knowledge very easily. So you should not go in all throughout all the number of species, but if you have general knowledge, you can work on each and every species, and even the animals you don't know, you can get some idea of the knowing animals are helping you to get background idea about this animal. So there are a lot of online image databases, online computerized keys and guide posters, and like everything are there now. So even in the Google, it is through the Google Lens. If you just put your picture, you can get now. So that's the easiest way, but it is not very accurate. But some websites are very accurate. There are some apps there. So I just want to tell you that you don't need to tell that you don't know, because now it is, I mean, everything's are very simple. Only things you have to follow them, and you have to just keep your curiosity and find the app and work on that. That's good for your profession as well as your standard. So when you are usually we even as a wildlife vet, we get the phone calls from our colleagues from the other when they find the animal, when they take the animals there. So the major problem is that they are talking with their clients and people who are talking with the animals, and they can't identify the animal species. So when you are working on that, it is even sometimes people are coming to you and they are talking about the animals and they don't have picture, but they are just talking about them. But getting these basic ideas, the animal shape, size, coloring in features and sign, tracks, cat and spots, like that way, all kind of things you can use to identify the animal species. And nowadays, the best thing is when someone is calling you and doing so, just ask them to get a picture and send it to WhatsApp or something like that electronically. Then it is very easy. Even that things, if you are not very confident, you can send it to the your wildlife or vet to see them. And not only vets, there are in country, you can see some youth groups are there. They are very active in Facebook and all other social media. And when you just send, and you get hundred of comments and all the identification and like that. Very keen young people are there. You can get the support. That's available in country now. And we can keep some field guides if you are interested. And I would like to recommend this tool. There are many more. I think Jetping, they have developed this online field guides, the checklist of animals in the country with the pictures. These PDF things you can install with your computer or phone, and you can identify the species without much difficulties. And I would like to recommend it because it is not covering all the species, but just for our common sense and the common animals and like that wildlife species are describing in this with pictures. All the Sinhala, Tamil, and English names are there. And, so it is good guide books. So other things I want to tell you that when you're going to deal with the wildlife and if the animal comes to your clinic office, so you have to keep it there mind that it is in the country, so no one can possess the wildlife species. So it is illegal in the country. And but however, as a vet, we don't have restrictions. I even asked from our department, also the law people, that whether it has restriction to treat them, but it is not so. So it is vet's role is just to care and give the help to the animal. So it is not legally bound to, nobody is claiming you that we have treated for illegal animal or like that things. So we can do, but however, if you feel that it is good to inform to our department, you can call to our hotline number 1992 and inform that this kind, because if someone bring you the leopard or the owls, that kind of thing, or sometimes, if you think these people are going to keep them under possession, or they are already keeping that one under possession, that's something illegal. So if you want to correct it, you can just inform that way. Otherwise, if you think it is better, you can let that people, it is not legal, therefore you have to inform them, otherwise they may get in trouble like that. Sometimes people are not knowing these facts and they are doing it by their heart to service the animal, but they get into trouble. So as a vet, it is our duty to make aware about the law situation. And other things, we always keep in mind that the most animals who are coming human help are not surviving. So even the animals who are coming to our hand, most of them are not getting chance to go back to the wild, because it is not easy to keep wildlife and make them successful and release back to the wild. Many of them are dying on the way. So their survival is always with their parents. So the wild care is the most thing. So we have to keep in mind that we should not separate the adult and young ones with our phone. So we have not encouraged people to do so. So if you get a phone call and something like that, we always have to keep in mind that, and if we separate the animal who don't need help from us, that is a big crime in case of that animal, because that we make a big problem, and that animal going under stress and everything, the whole problem, and finally it may not get chance to go back to the wild. Therefore, we have to be very careful when we intervene to the wildlife cases. And all the time, because people are very busy now, they want very quick answer for their problems. When they find the animals are alone and like that things, then they feel we need to help them, and they are not have patience, and they just catch it and they put into the bag or some cardboard boxes or just transport. And so they have all the good intention, but they always do the bad for the animals. So as a vet, when we get phone call or when we get that kind of animals, we have to assess the things, and we have to see whether we should do these things. Otherwise, we have to send it immediately back to the place where it was found, like that. And because the cases we are getting in our wildlife officers, most of animals we are receiving are unnecessarily collected animal from the wild because of the ignorance of the public. So I will show you some example. This more mainly happen. One of the species are birds. So the birds, uh, they are hatchling, and hatchlings are okay because hatchlings are usually found when the predator birds are coming to the when they attack into the nest, and they are getting fallen, and then people find them and they are coming to help. So they are getting, and they want to help these hatchlings. But at that situation, people can't do anything, and that's but we can try even that level. Even nesting is the other level, and fledging is the other level. Fledgings are the animals who are ready to go with their parents, and that means they are ready to fly. Because last few days of their flying time, they get into the ground and they are hopping here and there. It is something natural, but this is the time people find that these animals and they want to help. They just check around whether they are nest is there, and sometimes they find the nest and they keep it, but after some time they can find that it is in the ground, and like that way, then they bring to the us. So when they find our places and when they transport or when they inform us, it takes a lot of time. So at that time period, make all the trouble to the animal, because that animal, the birds are always waiting for their under their adult supervision, and adults are coming and giving the food when they are in the ground. But when we wait, it is for a few hours. Sometimes it is disaster, but we can try it, and if we get a phone call and we have to ask people to make it safe, let it them there and just keep the eye just for their protection from the dogs and cat. So other interventions are not needed. So like the things we have to make awareness to the people. Another thing is the deer family. In this picture, you can see all the sambar deer, spotted deer, and barking deer there. They are now in our. I think more than 50% of these are came there as a forms, but we know that all this is incidental. Only few of them when the mothers get trouble, but all other cases the public do the wrong thing because of the ignorance. But when they found them alone in the wild, they feel that that animal need their help. So therefore they are helping these animals, and they are collecting their home and then bring to the wildlife center. So it takes a lot of hours, and so at that time the contacts between the mother and that animal lose. So that's the natural things. In the wild, it is natural when the female deer give the birth, and they keep the little pawns alone, and they go. So pawns as the scents are very weak, therefore the predators can't find them, and but in the adults, their scents are very strong, and the predators come behind them. So they know these naturally. They know these these animals know that. So they keep the pawns alone, and they are going, and they time to time they come and let them eat like that way. And with the time being, then they join with the adults and going behind them. So at that time period, when the people find these animals, they always try to help them, and that makes trouble to animals. So we have to make aware when we get a phone call. We just first thing we should have to ask them, just go and keep the animal where they close. So that way we can help these animals. And this is again common things for the hare, black neck hare. Again, these hares are leaving their young ones and going for foraging and coming to back and nursing the babies time by time. Then cat family members, wild cat, fishing cat, rusty, jungle cat, even leopard too, do the same thing. And I think most of the animals, which cat, open baby, kittens, we receive because of the misunderstanding of the people. They just, when they find these animals alone, again they make the same mistake and they bring the animal, they take the animal their hand and do so. So most of these animals, the mothers are around in their they are searching the babies when they lost them, and therefore there may be chance to reunite them. So we can try. Even sometimes even cat family, I think, or even 1-2 days later also you can reunite the little ones with the parent, with the mother. So we have to instruct people, try to do so, and otherwise the best thing is to make contact with the wildlife people and do the operation. And squirrel also common problem, and in the squirrels when it is something usually fall from nest, and we can reintroduce them back to the mother. And as mentioned, in keeping the box near there, and when they find the babies somewhere down somewhere, and when they are calling, they come and collect it and they reunite. So that way we can try. But as I said, the people always very hurry and they are very worried about their things, and they say that cats are around, dogs are around, eagles are around, so we can't leave them like that. They say 100 of reasons, and they wanted to help by themselves and taking help from the others like me. And so when you find the animal need our help indeed, so these are some signs you can see. So sometimes you can see animals are taken by the cats and dogs, and some bite wounds are there, the bleeding on there, even the broken limbs and feathers like birds, and their parents are dead and shivering, and sometimes dehydrated, starved animals you can find with maggots and all the kind of problems. We listed many of them from the other textbooks. These are something you can see, and in that situation we have to help them. And again, when we going to work with the wildlife, we have to always maintain our safety, ourselves as well as animals. And so when we are handling them, we should always keep in mind that they are very dangerous because unpredictable. We don't know how to work with them. Even ourselves, though we have worked in them for a long time, we still are not very confident because individual to individual changing, and there are some behavior thing unpredictable. Sometimes they look like very calm and they are not objecting us, but suddenly they attack us like that. Things are happening. So therefore we should have experience and skills to handle the animals, and if in our situation, if it happened in the village or town or somewhere, so we always keep people away from the incident when we are handling the animals. Otherwise, it make other problems. And when we are working with the wildlife in the field, and sometimes when the people around and when we are handling, then the bite or something happening to the people around us, and then at that time they claim of the animal working there because because they feel that when we are going to the animals, everything's safe, but it is not so. Therefore, we have to avoid all the people. In the field level, it is not easy all the people are gathering, you can't handle them. You can control the animal, but it is not easy to control to the people. They take their kids and even pets to that areas. Some of you may have some experience on this, so it is not easy. So even in the media, when you see some scenes, you feel that what the hell, what they are doing, and they are to avoid the people and send the people and people away and like that. But it is not so. You can't control them. They all are very curious and they are not hearing our words and they are coming. But we have to take maximum effort to keep them away. And it is always good to have. We should have our protective clothes. And we have to keep in mind that because we are handling wildlife, and when they bite us, so it badly affects to us and same time the animal. So if the animal has to go back to the chance to go back to the wild, if it bites us, we can't send it back to wild because we don't know whether it is rabies animal or like that thing. We have to keep it. So otherwise, though we don't do that, otherwise we have to keep it and send for the rabies screening. So therefore, if we are careless and unprotected, that badly affect animals as well as not only us, it is bad to the animals. That things we should have keep in our mind. And other things everybody knows that the zoonotic diseases. So every species responsible for some kind of zoonotic diseases. So nowadays, a lot of people are talking about this thing. So therefore, it is our duty and even to inform to the people who are getting our service about the zoonotic disease and how to avoid this kind of unfortunate incidents. There are many things, and these are something now a lot of people are talking. And rabies is the one of them, and tuberculosis and other things. And again, when work with the wildlife, we are always taking measures to maintain good hygiene. And we have to wash it and always we have PPE like that things. So these basic things we have to follow. Sometimes you may see that it is not happening from our side also when we are working with the species. And because nowadays you can see what we are doing in all the YouTube and social media like that. So we have to take extra precautions when we are working because we are exposing to the world. Because sometimes we may very confident and we can say we are okay and nothing, but it is not nice nowadays. So we have to get maximum effort to be professional, and it is not only for profession, but it is good for the animal and ourselves. And even it is we give the good attitude to the people also working with the wildlife. And nuisance animals are very common in the country because we usually say nuisance animal like elephant, monkey, and like that things, crocodiles, wild boar, like that things. And so when the people come to you with complain about the nuisance animal, you have to very balanced character and you have to work always because as a vet we have to get the side of the animal, because in many cases we have to make aware the people that the background things behind these nuisance animals, because they usually come to your house for properties for food, shelter, water. So you have make hostile environment in your place, then they come to your place. After coming to the place, usually public blaming them, but they don't take that responsibility, and they always feel that animal make the trouble and animal is the responsible for all this hazard. So, but most times it is happening with the fault of the human being. So nowadays people are a lot of complaining about the monkey problems and everything, and but if you go to the starting point, you can see they put the garbage and they attract the animals, and then after sometimes they are training them, and at that point it is not easy to resolve the problem. And so So that kind of things people should be aware, but most of the problem we identify in the later stage. At that time, the giving solution is not easy. But so we should not encourage people to arrogant way to work with wildlife. So we have to give some understanding what is behind them. So in most cases, we can instruct them, consult them that to get rid of this problem, like by removing all the appealing things. Usually, garbage is the major problem in Sri Lanka, and even the people are leaving their food items in the house and like that things. So they are attracting the wildlife. So they can sometimes we can easily manage this problem just modifying the environment. So blocking the entrance and even changing the terrain, cutting the grasses and like that things. But people are very lazy on that, and they always try to get help from others, usually from the government sectors. Even if you find that monkey problem and other kind of things, they are not committed anything most times, but they expect everything from the government. Even the government, according to the law, they have tried to kill them, but they never do that, and but they are happy to if someone coming out and do that. So that way, the people actives are vary, and so therefore we have to very thorough when we are dealing with this kind of problems, and not easy. And other things I want to emphasize is the stress is a problem. As a vet, we have to keep in this mind, our mind, in our experience, and even in the literature, you can see that in the wildlife cases, most of the deaths happening due to stress. It's the number one killer. So all other things are coming behind. So therefore, we have to give maximum attention on the stress management. So this is very in the field, we know that not very easy, but as a profession, we have to take maximum effort to keep the stress situation in very low level. And because in the wild animals, from their point of view, they never accept us as their helpers. They always find that we are like a predator. Even their common instinct, the humans are not their friends. They always avoid the human being. So when the human being go to help them, they are not accepting us. They are in the very stress. All species and many kind of animals, the major cause of their death is stress. So we have to keep it, and the basic things we have to maintain: the dark, cool, silent space for them, and to close their eyes and that kind of things we have to do. And when the people are around, they come for taking selfies and all the pictures, flashes, and like that things. We should not allow people to do so. Nowadays, it's not very easy when we're dealing with the wildlife. A lot of cameramen, so a lot of people are around, and it is very bad. So as a vet, we always should discourage them, but not easy. And you can these are some list of things we can to avoid the stress situation. We have to give full attention on animal transport and transport cages, and everything should do for the animal species. So it is the profession, and it is the qualified person to choose better things and even to advise the public. So we should have good knowledge about this. And again, treatment. So I think with the time being, even myself, I'm a very good clinician. Most of you are very good clinicians, and I would like to show you some helpful the places for help, because these animals are deeper one to one, and they are the health approach should be different. And usually what we do is we always follow our domestic counterpart with the wildlife species, and we follow in the same. But in the world now, there are some nice websites when you are dealing with the exotic animals. So we can get help from that kind of thing. I just put one of the helpful contents website, and all the energies and other kind of things, and approach we can get the things for the reptiles, mammals, birds, and because if we are not encountering these problems, wildlife in the routinely, when it comes, to always feel something difficult to approach it medically. So these kind of websites are very helpful, and you can use them. And other things, I want to show you some other online resources, and I have put the one book, and that's a very useful one, even because when you find the little animals, even the squirrel, hare, little kittens or something else, how to treat it, how to choose the feeding equipment, and everything's are useful. And that's a very good even for regulation. I like that thing. So these kind of books we can refer and follow them, and that give the chance to survival of the animal. And most of the animals, even our also die due to, as I said, the stress and other things, lack of equipment and poor management. So when the dealing with many people, one animal, person to person, the approach is very different when they're handling and looking after, even feeding and everything are changing. So the little ones, it's very not a good environment, not easy for change in pattern, and so sometimes they get aspirated, and that kind of things are very common. So we should have very good assistant to handle these kind of animals. Even ourselves should be very competent. So these kind of books are very helpful us to get good knowledge. And I have put some other web resources. All things are in the yellow color is the PDF, and you can download them and you can keep it with you. And when you have leisure time, you can read it, and you can get a lot of good points and knowledge to dealing with the stress and nuisance animals. And the time limit, I have just put some guidelines, and I'm very happy to get your questions and answers to them. Thank you very much for listening.